Not feeling like you have to sacrifice your soul to talk about whiskey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We will definitely talk about that.
It's time for Bourbon with Friends, the bourbon podcast that never takes itself too seriously. Pull up a chair, grab a glass, and remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world. Here we go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Bourbon with Friends. It's Martin and I again tonight. Brian is still on the mend. How are you doing, Martin?
Don't we have to say something about changing the world? What changes the world?
I thought we said that at the end.
Oh, is it? I don't remember.
Maybe.
But yeah, I'm doing
good. This is why they don't leave us alone.
This is like kids in a room, like when you're just like, they're gonna do something fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yes.
No, good weekend outside of having a stupid ass power outage. But
that's right.
Yep, I did enjoy finally, because of the weather is getting nice. Actually, you were on with me, but I enjoyed a cigar finally. It's been a while. It's been shitty weather and just in general outside, so finally got on the porch. Had 2 cigars actually, and that was enjoyable. You were with me though, so you remember. How about you? How's the weekend?
It was good. I worked. The weather was quite nice around here, so that was a good thing. Cigar smoking. I've smoked 1 cigar so far this year when we were at Lake Geneva at the Whiskey Fest. I smoked a cigar up there, but yeah, that's about it for me. Not a lot of excitement.
Yeah, that was the last time I had one, but I'm hopefully now that it's nice, can have them outside.
And it's also, we were talking about, it's been a year since we all kind of a little group of us met in person, so that's kind of exciting too.
Yeah, we actually we were talking about that. I met up at Journeyman Distillery. Obviously that was our first for our friend group. That was like our first official meetup. It was at Journeyman Distillery in Valpo, Indiana. We went. I go there all the time because it's like 20 minutes from me. But we were talking about maybe doing some kind of 2-year kind of like anniversary meetup there next year. Just because we already have too much planned. We have too much planned for this year already. So like,
we kind of do. Yep.
And it's like next week. So it was the actual thing. But we thought about doing that because they have a beautiful event area upstairs. We didn't get to go to it that day. We were all there, but it's huge. I've been to it a couple times. Okay. So again, that's Journeyman. Probably should get them on the show at some point. Especially now that they're actually distilling at the Valpo location, so that's kind of cool. So, yeah. But I was about to say we're not here to talk about whiskey today, but we definitely are.
We definitely are.
It's in the name.
We definitely are. Another friend is here.
Another friend. I think we mentioned that we are going to be doing some new things, and not that we haven't done this before, but we are going to kind of broaden it. It's not always going to just be distillers or people that own whiskey companies or things like that. We're going to try to branch out a little bit and bring some of our friends from social media out, and I think that was kind of what we've been wanting to do. We had Jason Bourbon and Smoke last year. He was like one of our first guests, so that's kind of cool, and I think our plan is to do more of that. And tonight, Adrian, why don't you introduce our friend Jack here?
And we have Jack, the Hood Sommelier, with us this evening.
Bring him on there. There you go. There he is.
Welcome.
Hey, what up?
Welcome.
I didn't want to ruin your last name, so I'm sorry. I didn't say your last name.
That's the last name you only can give on a 3rd or 4th date. You can't give it on the 1st date. It's just hard last name.
Yeah, and I got to be honest. If you go back and look at any of the Bourbon with Friends episodes, if I hand off the introduction to someone else, is because I don't know how to say the last name. Yeah. So that's 100% what happened.
On the contrary, it's actually a very, very easy last name. It's like Beguedou. So Beguedou.
See, I thought that.
Like a drum roll.
I was going to say dough. Beguedou, but it's Beguedou.
No, it's
okay.
Do, yeah.
It's a do. Okay, right. Cool. Awesome. Well, welcome to the show.
I jumped in and I was about to choose violence, and I had to remember that this is not my show.
Oh, you can choose violence anytime. I always choose violence.
You can with us.
Talking about Journeyman, and I'm like, oh, I have beef with those people. So it's like,
do you
talk about it?
So
yeah,
I just go to it because it's the closest distillery to me. It's just somewhere to drink.
I have 3 scale of how I rate distilleries and brand. Right, there is the friends. I mean, the people that I can reach out to, work with. I'll create free content for them. They will give me opportunities when it comes about. In the middle, I have I don't know you like that. I mean, the only time we talk is because you either need something and I'm charging you for it and we're done. And then I have the group of I'm better than you people. Those are the people that I've reached out to, talk to people in the management, invited them, try to create content, do whatever, and they act like they're better than people. And that's where Journeyman is.
Oh, okay.
There's about 10 brands that live in that place. Because
I want to see that. I want to see those 10.
And they're always the people that actually make good whiskey, but they have the worst people to work with.
Yeah.
Like to tell you how long I've been trying to talk to that distillery to do something with them, go back to 6 months into when I started. So it's been over 7 years, right?
Yeah.
And like we're talking multiple opportunities. I was at Tales of Cocktails. They were there. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? We talk. Here's a business card. You send an email, cricket. All right. Yeah. Then it's like 2 years later. I meet them at Whiskey Riot. Well, what's up, man? What's going on? Things like, we'd love to have you on. Here's a business card. You send email, cricket. Then I said, you know what? Maybe I need to go the professional way. I go on LinkedIn and I find their marketing director. Cool. Like, that's like, have you guys ever seen the picture thing that happened like 3 years ago, like during COVID? Me on LinkedIn, me on Facebook, and me on Instagram, like the 3 different.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
That's how I feel. Your person answer you normally on LinkedIn and go, "Oh my God, would love to blah blah," and then you send them an email, and that person send an email to the person that's supposed to be setting stuff up, and the person doesn't answer, and you're like, excuse my French, but what type of fuckery is happening at your distillery? Why can't you guys just get it together? So Journeyman literally just made it on the I'm never buying your product and I'm not working with y'all because y'all are the worst when it comes to me as a whiskey, content creator or educator. Your whole staff trash.
I will say that that bleeds into the newer distillery as well, because it is one of the most unorganized distilleries. Their initial opening, because they have 2. The original's Three Oaks. The new one was in Valpo by me. Three Oaks one's beautiful, great service, great everything, great food. Obviously, they've been distilling there since the beginning, but then when they open the new one, it's a beautiful distillery. It's huge. It's got different restaurants, but it is really unorganized there a lot of the times, and the food's not as good as that one. So I can see that. We actually had, I don't know, I'm going to say this name, and I'm curious if you've had any similar interactions, because I know we've been trying, and I love this distillery as far as their whiskey, but we've been trying to get Driftless Glen on for a long time, and I feel like we constantly try to get a hold of them and nothing.
They don't even register my repertoire.
Yeah, they haven't. They definitely have not. They definitely have not. Great whiskey. I love their rye.
Some brands is like, I see it, I hear of you, but at a certain point, I'm like, unless I have to try your whiskey, not to sound pompous in any way, but it's like, you are not worth my time, because I'm just gonna give you free advertisement, and it happened to me way more time. I felt like I just shoved my whole foot in my mouth when you try to reach out to a brand, because like, oh, you kind of coming up. Would you like to, let's say, because I love avant-garde brands, right? People that are doing something new. I was interviewing Penelope and those before those brands were cool, via Distillery. Now the brands that people actually just like rave up about now, in their infancy, I interview those people because I understand myself as a business owner, how hard it is to actually start new. And if you're doing something great, you need the exposure, right? It's very important to me. So when those happen multiple times, there's some brands right now, I won't even touch them with a 10-foot pole, right? Because it's like when you were new, when you started, when people were reaching out to you, you did not take advantage of those things. You were kind of a jerk at that time. So even if you're big right now, or you're doing great right now, or you have a marketing department right now, no, thank you. I'm fine. I'm okay.
What distillery, or I guess just in general, do you feel is the opposite? Who's like the most responsive? Who's been the best to work with? That you can constantly go back to and just like, I know this is going to be good because it's been good.
So if we talk in infancy, the first one that I will give credit to forever is Hard Truth Distillery.
Okay.
When they started and they were brand new, like
those are Brian, Indiana people.
Yeah. Brian literally will work all day and then spend all evening on people's live and sitting and talking about the distillery. Like he was wearing so many hats. And the first time I say, hey, you talk about this distillery, I would love to come see what's about. He's like, dude, we have cabins on the corner.
It's a beautiful distillery.
Here. Just get yourself here. And that Hard Truth Distillery, definitely bar none, number one. Second one, 291 Distillery in Colorado.
Colorado. Yep. Yeah,
Emily was probably one of those people that spent too much of her time making us people that she never met a day in her life, to the point where Emily and I are like, she's no longer there, but we became very, very close. Like, because he was one of those things where I'm like, ain't no way you were this nice. There must be some fakeness going on somewhere. Right?
It's that Colorado air, man. They're all nice out there.
Just very, very kind people. Another one is K. Luke.
Oh, is that out of
John?
Yep, I know.
John and his wife. Those people are literally down to, like, when we talking about down to earth, like flat down to earth, like I tell people, my personality is described sometimes as abrasive nice. That's how people be like, oh, if you don't know Jack, he can come off abrasive, but he's always nice. I'm the same guy online that I am outside, right? There's no, what you see here is the same thing you will say outside. I don't have an internet personality, right? So when I met K. Luke, it's the same thing, right? A lot of brands will give you the internet personality online, and then you meet them in real life, and you're like, oh, you're a disappointment. Never meet your heroes, right? That happened more time than you can think of. But you meet people like, John and his wife, Jonathan, just salt of the earth. They just kind people. They, like hey, we've been in retail for 20 years selling whiskey. Now we're making whiskey. This is what we have. We'd love for you to try it. I'm like, okay. And they do everything.
You know who that makes me, sorry to interrupt, Jack. You know who that makes me think of, Martin, is FKNG.
For Kings Not Gods. Greg and Shelley.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Greg and Shelley Martinez. Yeah. They're some of the nicest.
She watches she's literally jumped in. She has jumped in, but she's literally watched every single live I've ever done. Like sometimes it's just her watching.
Yeah, they're just
super cool.
But that you talking about K. Luke made me think about them.
It's and Hard Truth was one that obviously got out there, and they had a great marketing campaign and getting it into the right hands and getting it to the right people who were going to push the brand. I just have such a heart because it looks so beautiful. I want to go there, but I have yet to have anything from them that I've really enjoyed.
Really?
I thought the first one of the rides I had a while. I thought it was
the
good.
Sweet Mash, right?
Sweet Mash, yeah. The sweet, it was like a store pick for that one that I got out here, and I like it's good. It's just I was like, okay, and that was it.
But you also have to keep in mind, is only 4 years old. Like
it's young, and
3 or 4 years young. Like all I know about Hard Truth is I'm like in 3 years from now, when they'll be in their 9th year.
Yeah,
like when we're going to talk about 10-year bourbons.
Yep.
No one will compete with them at that level because they put really good thing in their barrels ahead of time.
Yeah,
but when we were already playing at 3 and 4 years old, when I was tasting, I was like, you know what? There's a future here.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's definitely, to me, it's one of those things whenever I try something. And again, I know I'm on a podcast called Bourbon with Friends, but bourbon's my least favorite whiskey.
What's your
kind of where I'm landing myself, I'm finding.
Yeah.
What's your favorite whiskey?
I started with Scotch single malt, and it's always going to be that.
But it's same here. I just literally came back from Speyside.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. How was it?
Dude, better than your wettest dream.
That's I
love than your wettest dream that you've ever had. I'm talking hardcore puberty dreams that wake you up in the middle of the night, start still thinking about it. That's how it was.
Have to change all everything.
All your clothes, everything. You feel dirty. You got to go to church on Sunday. Type of wet dream. That is what it was. It's I felt for the longest time I felt like an imposter. Because I've talked about single malt way longer than I've talked about bourbon, and I pretentiously call myself a whiskey educator, but I've always felt like a fraud. You get that syndrome,
right? Imposter syndrome,
that imposter syndrome, and and I felt like something was missing. The next target is Japan. Like I have to go to Scotland at least 5 times to feel really sure about it.
Yeah.
But just going that first time after professionally doing this for 7 years, like I say, I was in euphoria for 7 years.
It's different.
You know single malt, so you know the William Grant family, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Do you know where I stayed?
Did you stay at the what is that place? I know you're about to say. I can't think of the name of it.
The Balvenie House.
That's it. Yeah.
And I slept in the bed of Mr. William Grant himself.
Damn. He wasn't still there though, right?
the way somebody was rubbing my legs at night.
The ghost of William Grant.
I don't know. Ghost of William Grant, but it was his room. They obviously modernize it, but you can see the shape of the room.
Yeah,
you go through that house, you really understand the history. I had the chance to spend 3 days with the oldest working employee of William Grant. His name is Dennis McBain, and he's been working there for 67 years.
That is a Scottish name. Like that is
Dennis McBain. When I say this motherfucker is harder than concrete.
Oh, like they all
tougher than any of us combined.
Yeah.
At 80, almost 90, the man is still rolling through brick houses, still holding through molten homes. Like the man is, and you see, that uncle that tell you the story of like your grandfather and their brother, and you're like, he's telling you this. He's saying in the first person, he doesn't tell the story as I heard. He's telling you this like from direct contact.
I was there.
And you're like, wait a damn minute. Who are you talking about? Like he's calling these people by the first name. So you're like, wait. And then it's like, oh no, this motherfucker lived it. He lived this shit.
They do.
This is his job.
I mean, you look at that. I mean, and I guess this is something that I'm curious what you think about. And you look at the landscape and the icons that have come out of Scotland and in Scotch, right? I mean, there's some Jim McEwen, Billy Walker. I mean, like legends who have that status. And like you said, they've been there. They've been doing this our whole life. I mean, Jim McEwen literally grew up on Islay, was working for Bowmore, and like that's his first job, and inevitably, moved on to Bruichladdich and did amazing things. But like, do you think? Because we are in the infancy, really, if you look at like compared to that, but in like bourbon, I mean, there are people who are like that, but like, how about some of the newer, like some of these new craft? Do you think at some point that is still like something that can happen? Like you're going to get the legends, but they're not there yet. They obviously have to go through, but are we in different times now? I don't know.
I think one thing we have to keep in mind is America as a country is when you go in Europe that you realize that we are a young country.
Oh God, yeah.
You're very young.
Very young.
Because when someone point out to something, right? 1818, right? Yeah. Balvenie was built in 1818.
Yep.
You will not show me any distillery in America that was built in the 1800s.
No.
Right?
It isn't.
Now think about it. That is one of like the youngest distillery, like mid-age distillery.
Yeah.
There's distilleries that remote back in Ireland all the way back to the 1500s.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about legacy and ways to actually become a legend in what you do, is because this has started at least a century or more before you. You were born into it. And today you've learned from people that actually been doing this. The knowledge has been transferred over and over and over. And today you are proud to take it and make it your own, right?
Yeah.
So here, think about it. Let's go with the oldest known family, Jim Beam. They are not even, what, 2 centuries in. You're close to a century in, but you literally can name Bocurneau, right? They're 8th generation, but their 8th generation have not really done, whiskey as a thing for their whole 8th generation, right? Because Freddie is 8th generation distiller, but 8th generation literally just mean what, 200 years of surviving.
Yeah.
But 8th generation doesn't necessarily mean they've been doing this till they're 100 years old. Some people die younger and that, but if you remote, you have Bocurneau, Fredno, and Fredino, right? That's the 3 that we know. We remote back a little bit. You have the Baker, you have the Beam family, where they're split later on. But we are going, the far back we can go is maybe 1940, World War II.
Yeah.
So if we start even there, Europe already have 200 years ahead of us making whiskey before we get there.
Yeah. And that's I guess that was definitely my thought, because you do hear the legends. There's people, I mean, who you just named. I mean, the people out of distillers like Buffalo Trace. Obviously, those are legendary names, but I just feel like they're not quite there. And you look at even American single malt now, like you have all these people, you have distilleries that are starting to do that, or that's their whole focus. I mean, you look at something like Cedar Ridge, someone like Murphy Quint. Like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been able to talk to him, but I feel like
I again, in their infancy, I've had Murphy Quint before.
Yeah,
I think it was at the first release of the Quintessential.
Yeah. And I think I could see someone like him. I could see someone like Seth Detling inevitably becoming in that realm, but it's gonna, like you said, it's not gonna happen now. No. It's gonna be in the future. And but it's so funny you said so my family actually was my entire family's from Scotland, and I've been there many times. But my mom always uses a story. Because she's like, I was talking to a friend, and they were at this like little local festival, and it's in the church parking lot. And this church, I'm in Northwest Indiana. This church was built in 1920 something. And so like my mom, the lady goes, "Can you believe this church was built in 1920?" My mom just turned. She goes, "Well, there was one down the street from me when I was growing up that was built in the 12th century." So like a little different. But it is, yes. I mean, it's like when you go over there, you realize how young, even though people hear like, well, no, it's 200 something years. No, but there's things that have been around for thousands and thousands of years in some of these other countries and different civilizations and whatnot. But yeah, that's
when I teach about whiskey, I go back to the pyramids, right? I go back to alchemy, which was the original origin of whiskey, right? And because I don't just, most of the time when people want to hire me to talk about whiskey, and I feel like Adrienne haven't said anything. She haven't said anything yet. But
I'm just soaking it all in. I'm loving it.
So I always tell people, I like to teach whiskeys from around the world. Why? Whiskeys from around the world. Why? Why is it important to me? Because when I started on whiskey, I started because I felt like there is always a white bearded man that is telling me about whiskey, right? That's literally how the Hood Sommelier was born. Is there was no one that sounded or was like me. But quickly, what I found out is that the story of whiskey didn't start in the United States. Right? It didn't start here. So the curious, George in me decided, you know what? I wonder what else is out there. Being born in a colonized country by Europe, obviously single malt was part of it, right? But then I kept asking, like, what else is there? What else? And that's really, if I have to hang my achievement onto anything, is that I have not stopped looking for whiskeys from everywhere in the world. And I want to be known as the word citizen when it comes to whiskey, right? The same way I love my foods, the same way I love my whiskey. So I often tell people whiskeys from around the world is what I teach. Why? To start telling people, even if you are an immigrant to this country, even if you come from a different background, even if you cannot relate to anybody in this room, I'm sure by the time I start in the history of whiskey back in the pyramid, all the way down through Asia, coming into Ireland, going through Scotland, England, and getting into the US and going into Canada, by the time we get all that journey in, I'm sure somewhere around the line, you will relate to one of the stories in whiskey.
Yeah.
And for that reason, when I say whiskey bring us together as a whole, when I want to teach about whiskey, I always remind people we have to go all the way before in BC, right? We have to go before Christ. Then we move on from there and we understand, you know, distilling, then we understand maturation, we understand conservation. Then we can't talk about whiskey without talking about colonization. We can't talk about whiskey without talking about wars, because wars are the reason why a lot of people move. So if you want to learn, the line I use in every opening of my classes, I start with, I'm your captain, we're about to get on a journey. I'm the whiskey captain, buckle up. In case of turbulence, make sure you don't touch your neighbor, right? And we're about to embark on a journey. And whatever you do, the rule here is drink one, sip one, right? You drink some water and you sip one. That's the rule. But one thing I tell people, my opening line is the same. To understand the history of whiskey is to understand the history of the world. So if you love world history, you're gonna enjoy the history of whiskey. And that's always been my thing. And I sat down multiple times and read articles and dived in to say, and it wasn't even about the whiskey at this point. I'm like, I wonder how people in Canada started making Canadian whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh, Germans? Is that why they have rye? Like you learn so much about things, right? And then you're like, how am I so ignorant? And then there's history facts that I found just because of whiskey. Like it had nothing to do with that. So you talking about something built in the 12th century, and there's so much history there.
Mm-hmm.
You go through the catacomb, you go through, how many still they didn't find under churches, right? To make alcohol. So, which myself now reminded me as an African when I went back to the moonshiners in Africa. I'm like, oh, yes, you're colonized by Catholic priests. It makes sense that you make moonshine this way, because that's how they make moonshine.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I think no, I like the connection there too. That it is about the whiskey, but then you do learn so much around it. I still love there in Scotland that there was I can't remember what the documentary was, maybe The Water of Life. But they were
Water of Life.
Yeah, they were showing they were like there was just this kind of stone, fencing, like a barrier, and then like in it there was just like little things of whiskey, and I mean this could have been there for hundreds of years. So it's just like it's something to them that was it was just something that they drank on the job probably when they were making it. But for us, it's like we get to learn about why is it there? It's such a big deal to us. Because all I'm thinking, I wonder what kind of whiskey it is. Like, I wonder what it tastes like. I wonder what the difference is. Like, I wonder when did they distill it? Was it something like? And you start to get into that kind of web of just like this bottle that we look at isn't just a label or liquid. It's got so much.
Have you ever heard the story of how they started calling a thief a copper dog, right? Like
I have, yeah, but I don't know if Adrian's heard that story.
So I mean, there's so many things, and going like if I wasn't sure that I love whiskey and I want to do this as my truly side hustle / retirement plan, as truly something I do, I think going to Scotland kind of seared that for me. And I will tell you one thing. I thought Ireland was it. When I went to Ireland and I thought it was it. But I went to Scotland, I'm like, you know what?
Yeah. Oh, we're using that as a clip, by the way, everybody.
I was going to say Martin's heart just grew 3 sizes right there.
100%. I have arguments all the time. I love Ireland. I love Ireland too. But
no, that's what I'm saying. I say Irish people are the black people of Europe. Okay, you go to Ireland, and like I tell people all the time.
I don't understand. Can you explain
so let me explain this to you. So if you've been around black people, there's a reason why they say you're invited to the cookout, right? There's a sense of community around black people that since you're a kid, there's a responsibility to your community to actually all the way back to slavery, right? I tell people like the best story I was told as an immigrant is one day I came to my boss, which is African American. I say, why is it that black people see each other and they not? Why? Why can't they just say hello? Me coming from Africa and having 100% colonial education, and he say, "Oh, you're remote from slavery." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, a slave couldn't talk in rooms. So the only way one could tell the other, "I got you," if shit goes sideways, is to nod. And it became a way to communicate for the longest time. So obviously you learn from your family and you keep going. So a lot of people will nod now as a sign of either respect, communication, or move to let somebody know, I got you. I got you. You and I, we are the same. I got you. So it became a thing, but bringing it back to what I was saying, a sense of belonging is I'm from a French country, right? We were colonized by French. French people are racist, and they're blatantly racist with that shit. Like they don't have Southern hospitality style racist. Like they are blatant. Like
it's just
Oklahoma blatant, right? That's how.
I've never been to Oklahoma, so I guess I don't understand that either.
blatant, right? They don't like you or like you, and that's it, right? Or they will curse you out. That is that simple as that. They will say no because of your skin color. They don't, no fucks given.
Yeah.
All right. Usually, as a black person raised, and also obviously America have a big effect on that because a black man raised in America, growing up in America, you walk into a place where you're the only black person. You got to check around to make sure where's the exit. Shit goes sideways here. I'm not with them. I'm running. I'm out. Right. You have that as a reflex. But when I've been to France, I know them there. In France, I act the same way as I act in America. But then I go to Ireland. And I'm like, wait a fucking minute. People approach you to talk to you. They buy you a beer at the bar. They ask, and you go. The weirdest part is if you go to a small cafe, not only the people are talking, but they come sit with you and start chatting you like y'all know each other forever, right? The only time that happened, Adrian, if somebody ever took you to a black cookout, people gonna act like they've known you your whole freaking life, right? And that's
I've had a couple situations like that in my life, not cookouts, but I've been in situations like that. It's been good.
but that's what it is. Like you walk into Irish people treat you like they've known you your whole life.
Sounds like I need to go to Ireland.
Asking myself, why did they act that way? And then you hear the Irish people's story. And then it makes sense to you. They're the most oppressed community. They had to learn to stick together for the longest time. From religious war to land war to being taxed, they had to learn to stick together. So for that reason, their mentality is there's no such thing as a stranger. If you're here, I help. If you hear your family, that's how it is there. So for the first week, I'm like, these people are weird. What? Why y'all like
these people are weird?
Yeah. And then I realized, no, it's not just one person. It's not the cafe. It's everybody. Then I felt so comfortable in Ireland. But then I went to
would love it
Speyside.
there.
Yeah.
God, I would love it there. That sounds like my kind of vibe for real.
I went to Speyside and I'm like, okay, so y'all are a little grumpy here as Scottish people. But like I'm telling you, it's like Scottish people are a different breed. The concept of family in Scotland is very important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very important.
Yep.
That's the one thing I actually had to learn living there is to be family is to everyone look out for you, everyone check on you, everyone. The concept of family, you cannot do family like Scottish people.
Yeah. Yeah, they do it's and they have big families too.
Yeah. Yeah, them people are they're out there fucking.
Yeah. Oh no, I know.
My
cousin has like 9 kids.
Yeah.
But and the fucking government pays for all of it. So
they're out there. They're out there.
So they're doing it.
You can't do it like them. I mean, I understand. 70% of the time is raining and damp. What the fuck what else you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you can't really understand them when they're fucking because it's just like a bunch of grunts and like weird, like it's how they sound when they speak. I can understand my parents fine, obviously, because I grew up with them. But like, I had an uncle, and my God, sometimes like I would be like,
no, you know, I swear to God, 60% of the time when I was in Scotland, I pretended to hear what them people were saying. Yeah. Like I didn't even I just pretended. I'm like, bro, if you try your best to just nod at the right rhythm, they would think you got it. Like I had to lean to a couple, be like, what the fuck did he say?
Yeah.
Like
I would never make it there then because I struggle with accents as it is.
my uncle, rest his soul, he's the kind of guy that when you be talking to him, the only thing you could figure out was that he was saying something funny because he was laughing somewhere in there. It was like, oh yeah, like that's how it was. Whole fucking like every time and I love my uncle to death, but like it was so many times that like I'd introduce him to somebody that was like a friend of mine or like a girlfriend at the time, and they're just like, I didn't understand anything you said, but just nod and laugh. I'm like, because that's all he's saying something funny. I just don't know what it is. So, but yeah, Speyside is and it's up in the Highlands. I mean, it's beautiful, but yeah, you get
beautiful, so beautiful. I tell everybody, you know, I will, you know, I want to go to Japan. I want to go to Isla. You know, I want to do more of I want to do, you know, Campbelltown and Lowlands.
Yeah,
I want to do those areas. But when I tell you, Speyside is also a hunter. Anybody that hunts in America, that's like the wet dream over there. Like most people don't understand. Like in my head, I knew Glen mean valley, right? I knew that. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, there's too many motherfucker Glens.
A lot of Glens.
In them names for people to actually have Glen something in the name of their whiskey. It must be a marketing thing. Bullshit. There is so many Glen. They'll be calling so many Glen names till the day we die. Our kids are going to be born and still hear a Glen something. Mm-hmm. That's how many mountains and valleys are in that area. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it's, you said you went to Balvenie. Where else did you get to go? Any other distillers?
So I did Balvenie. Obviously, I did Glenfiddich and Balvenie. Mm-hmm. There's Aberlour. Yeah. I did, what do you call it? Temdu.
Temdu.
I did, what do you call it? Glenallachie.
Oh, Glenallachie, yep, Billy Walker.
Craigallachie.
Nice.
I did what do you call it?
You had a post about a Scotch malt whiskey, and it was a Kinninevi distillery. Was that one that you visited?
Yeah, no, I actually didn't visit it. So That's a very interesting story. So there are sister cookers when you get into. I mean, he been there, so he know. So there are sister cookers of the mash. So there's kind of can't Cantervy, and then there is the Glenfiddich one.
Yep.
The other one does the Balvenie stuff. The one does actually Balvenie and Glenfiddich are made literally same place, literally.
Yep.
Right, but they're sister cookers, right? The mash cooker, a sister cooker. Now, when they make Balvenie, there is one that specifically they don't always put out. Is not a brand, but the oldest one, right? When they were doing kind of that one specifically, they were putting those away because they used to use that for their contract distilling.
Yep.
So they mainly did it for contract distilling, but some of those contract distilling and experiment stayed behind. So, in honor of the third line of their family called Hazelwood, they will actually release those under the Hazelwood house. Now, the one I posted was in that since I was staying at the house, is their great aunt Ellen. She was nominated the oldest living person in Scotland. And to honor her, they pulled one of their 15-year from that Hazelwood batch. That was a single cask. And there was 270 bottles out of it that they did in honor of her. And people bought it when they commemorated her as the oldest one. And they kept one in the house. That no one even most people that lived only in that area were able to buy it. It never went on a higher market. It was literally a single cask. But it's cool to taste something like that because you're like, it's very off profile of everything you know. So, and I obviously when I went, I'm like, yeah, give me shit straight from the barrel. So all I brought back is 350 mils of the best cask that I found. That I'm like, oh, PX got 100% cask strength. Glenfiddich in a PX cup, give it to me, right? Same thing for Balvenie. So those are all the things I brought back. I didn't,
and
and obviously,
isn't obviously all of us here have been in a warehouse, but dunnage warehouses in Scotland are just the smell it's just different. It feels older. It feels dusty. I mean, there's just everything like really. It doesn't. Obviously, these facilities are new in a lot of these like American, warehouses and rick houses and things like that. They're like we were saying earlier in their infancy in a lot of ways. Like those dunnage warehouses in Scotland, it's crazy how long some of them have been around.
We talk about angel hair. Like you hear angel hair all the time, right? And like, what do you call it? Sorry, angel share, right? We hear angel share all the time, right?
Yep.
I was like, pasta?
I know. I was kind of like, I know what he's talking. I knew what you meant. Hungry. I knew what you meant.
I must be hungry. We hear angel share all the time.
Yep.
But here is what I know. Till your house is behind a dunnage home, right? A dunnage warehouse. And you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Your windows are open. It's 50, 55 degrees.
Yep. Summertime in Scotland.
Fresh smell of angel share hits you from the window. Like, I'm like, did that open a bottle of whiskey and forgot it in the house? In my room? No. It's like the best wake up alarm ever in the world.
It's really nice. Yeah. My aunt, she lives near Glengoyne.
Oh,
so that's like just I love the history behind that distillery. But yeah, whenever we she wasn't like right next to it, but I would purposely have them drive that way whenever we were doing it around, just so I could smell as we went by, because that was the closest distillery when I saw them out by. Because they live outside.
Do you know the place that did not impress me? After seeing all that history, do you know the one place that didn't impress me at all?
Macallan.
They just pump his asshole. They're not gonna change.
Yeah. No.
Glenlivet.
Glenlivet? Yeah. I mean,
I think like since Pernod bought it, it's very futuristic, modern. Just look brand new, shiny. It's like somebody with fresh musk after shave on them. I'm like, it looked too clinical.
Yeah, it is. It's not. I mean, look at most of the stuff. I mean, that's a brand that I only hold in like regard as far as it being nostalgic to me. It's I don't go back to it often. It's one of those.
Wake up in the morning and go, you know what I need to drink today? Glenlivet.
Never once.
Never once
said that.
Of drinking single malt I've ever woke up and went, you know what I need to drink today is Glenlivet.
I know. It's, you know what it is? It's a I call them hotel bar selections. It's because like when you go to a hotel bar and there's nothing really. There's very limited. I
would still take Glenmorangie. I would still take Glenmorangie.
Oh yeah. I'd do Glenmorangie or what's some of the other kind of like bigger guys. And that's the thing. Like I feel like Glenfiddich for sure. I would definitely.
Glenfiddich will be there. All the Glens will be up there.
Yeah.
Right, because those are the most popular family that are there. But honestly, come on, no, it was like it's like meeting your hero, just disappointing. You're like, oh, there is more history around your distillery than there is in the distillery.
Yeah,
but now if you're somebody who like your cask strength single malt and you like to bottle your whiskey, go for it. There's plenty of them that are, you can impress your friend. You go, oh, you drink only Glenlivet 18?
Yeah.
Let me show you what Glenlivet tastes like straight from the barrel, right? Those, for me, that's the fun part of whiskey for me, is the number of bottle I can point out to say, I remember when I bottled that myself, right? That's the fun for me now.
No. Yeah. Shit.
So hey, I want to ask a question because I haven't said anything.
I've been waiting for you to say something.
I know, but you are coming out with all this information. I'm a good listener, Jack. So you made a post not long ago about your superpower and being able to be really truthful and honest about your whiskey likes and dislikes, and you've really showcased that for us here today. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I want to get into this discussion because I think it's important from a influencer educator perspective to really make sure we're making sure people know that you're not just saying you like stuff because of its branding or whatever.
Yeah, or they pay you money, so you have to be nice to them. Yeah,
get $100 every time you mention their name.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, I mean, tell us kind of. I mean, I guess what would you say to me? I'm not as knowledgeable as Martin, obviously, and if I'm watching someone, or if I were to get a sample from somebody, or they were going to pay me or whatever, what kind of advice would you have, or what would you say to people watching influencers?
There's the first thing I will mention is palate integrity, right? Obviously, I'm a judge. I judge about, I used to judge like for competition. Then I realized they don't like to pay people. Now I only judge true competition. But palate integrity is a thing, right? If you want to be taken seriously in this business, if young me if old me had to talk to young me, palate integrity is the first thing I would stress. Also, with that integrity mean that you're gonna hurt a lot of feelings, but I feel like there's something about when I was a kid, my dad said, be the rat. And I'm like, the fuck this motherfucker talking about?
Good advice.
Be the rat.
Good advice.
Be the rat. No, but be the rat is he tells the story that people used to wake up in the morning, especially in the old days when you learn about the French Revolution. People wake up in the morning and they will see a whole big hole in their hand. So when we were a kid, we'll refuse to wash our hand after eating. You'd be like, "Oh, rats are gonna come eat your finger, right?" Because you don't, But he'd be like, "Be the rat," because most people wake up in the morning and they have like this big old bite. They're like, "Well, how did that happen?" It's because obviously everyone was hungry, so rats will come and eat part of you while you're alive. But the way they will eat is every time they would take a bite, they blow on it. So they take another bite and they blow on it. So you never feel the pain, right? That's how rats can eat, on a human being, and you'll never know. But the reason why he kept saying that is you don't necessarily have to be abrasive, right? To actually tell someone the truth. You don't have to curse at it. You don't have to say it's trash, but you can say this doesn't work for my palate.
Yeah.
But if you like X, Y, and Z,
yeah,
you may probably like this, right? That's always me. My palate integrity means that if I've tried it and I don't like it, there's no fucking way in hell I'm gonna come and say, "Oh, it's okay." I'm not even gonna say that. I'll be like, personally, not it.
Yeah.
Like to the point where that actually, there's a couple brands right now that can say they respect me because they found that the bottle they sent me was part of a batch that went faulty. And they didn't know that till I reviewed it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then they're like, literally the PR agency sent me a message and say, "Hey, last year you liked our stuff. How is it that you don't like it this time?" And I'm like, "I don't know. This just tastes off." And then they would like, "Oh, give us a number, give us the batch." They'd be like, "Oh, we need to look at that batch." And somebody else tried at the distillery. They're like, "Yeah, this is not it." And it was just the pump that filled the bottles. Apparently an oil got in and it threw it off the thing. So it happens.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah. I've learned in the last, sorry, Martin, last, we've done like 50 of these episodes, and I've tried, so many more things within that time span. And that's kind of where I've started to be like, I don't like this, but someone else might. I'm not saying that this is necessarily bad, but I don't like it. It's not for me.
You want to know the craziest thing? That is a disclaimer I give people when they send me whiskey. I have 3 disclaimer when you send me a message and say you want to send me whiskey. 1, if I don't like it, I'm gonna say it. So if you have a really short temper, you don't have thick skin, we don't need to send it to me.
Oh.
I may buy it and still talk shit about it. That is 1. 2, you do not give me a timeline to post about your whiskey because you're not paying me. So whenever I get to it, I'll get to it. 3, if you're paying me, I can do what I call a generic talk about your whiskey, but I will not give any taste notes. The reason why is because it will be fun. Okay, like I'm going to work on a project for Father's Day. It's just going to be, hey, you know what you should drink with every father need a good whiskey, to enjoy their Father's Day. This whiskey will be one of the good ones to actually do is X, Y, and Z. That's it. But it's not a true review.
Yeah.
Right. It's promo work. But if you hand me a bottle of whiskey and say, "I really want your opinion," you bet be ready. Because if it doesn't fall on my palate, I literally judge every whiskey the way I judge competitions. I'm a tough. People say I'm very tough on whiskeys, but I'm like, no, I truly believe it, and I'm thank God I've not recommended anything and give it a high note that somebody said, "Oh, this is trash." It's always worked. So far, my bullshit have been working.
Hey, you know what? If it keeps working, keep it up. But I think, you guys, people who have the platform also have the responsibility. I think that's something that bothers me. I started really getting into whiskey. When you have Scottish parents, you're into whiskey when you're younger. There's a picture of me holding old bottle of Glenfiddich when I was like 5. I don't know what I was doing with it, but I do know that just since I kind of started, and I'm not somebody who's got like hundreds of thousands of followers or anything like that, but I've been around long enough to see it. And I think the one thing that I'm getting a little turned off with is that people don't have that mentality, that they just are clearly getting paid and saying everything is amazing. This is amazing. That's amazing. And I'm not saying that I want necessarily, to invite that side of things where we start saying everything is terrible, but just be honest, because
if everything was amazing, I don't think any of the whiskeys people will go out of business. But another thing we have to be real about is that I will have concerns. There's some YouTube channels I don't follow because the reason why those people, I've seen 2 or 3 of their review, because in the last 3 years, there's people that use their body to actually make whiskey look good so they can actually get paid. Thank God I don't have that body, so I can't even use it. There are people that use their beauty to influence their view of people on whiskey. Thank God I'm ugly as shit, so I can't even do that. And now there are people that actually use their affluence, there's the mass that they have, right? Because they have that mass of people following them to actually market to whiskey companies, say, oh, you will reach this percentage of people. As long as I talk about it, somebody's going to buy it. So they use the rule of law of averages to be able to get those things in. So those 3 type of people I don't follow. I don't trust, I don't follow, because you have no palate integrity, right? I'd rather somebody tell me, oh, I listened to this guy's review, he's totally an asshole because he's too brutally honest. I'll be like, oh, okay, let me go listen to what he has to say, right? And I listen to somebody's review and say, this guy never like anything. They think everything is subpar. Like there was this guy, what is this, Bourbon Badass or something? I don't think he found a whiskey he ever likes. And so when he like a whiskey, that means that the whiskey must be good, because he talked trash about everything, right? He complains about the price, he complains about everything else, but then you're like, I like you because this is what I want to hear. So for me, when I look at the camera, I'm looking at my best friend. I'm looking at my buddy, right? I'm looking at you going, dude, I've tried this. Pretty good. You should try it. But if you see, it takes everything out of me sometime when I try whiskey to just not look at the camera and say my nipples are hard, because this is it, right? but because I'm talking to my best friend, if you hear me say this, it really is that. But if it's not, so
that's
I
it.
think I built a good enough reputation.
Yeah, you just don't know the truth, and that's the hard truth. Sorry. But we don't know the truth when it comes to that kind of thing, because if everything is amazing, and they're always pumping out. I used to do reviews a little bit on Instagram, and I remember the first time I ever gave something pretty negative. But I wasn't shitty about it. I just was honest in it, and I had multiple people messaging me like, "How could you? Like, why would you?" And people I don't even know. You know what I mean? They're like, "Why did you rate this so low?" What? It's like that reaction never. You should be okay with this reaction. You know what I mean? Like, you should be okay with the fact that I don't like something, because if I just constantly give something 5 out of 5 or 100 points, you start to just be like, what the fuck what don't you like? You would start questioning that. So I think that is that integrity is huge, and I appreciate and applaud you for that. So
absolutely. That's why I feel like
it cost me a lot. It cost me a lot.
I'm sure.
I can tell you that.
Yeah,
it cost me a lot. Like the average person in my domain or my realm is probably averaging about 35,000-40,000 if they're actually very serious about the work they do. I maybe average half of that, because the other motherfuckers like, we wanted to pay you to do this shit, but your ass talk too much trash that we don't know. We don't know if we we ain't gonna pay you to talk trash about us. No, the amount of people, you don't understand. Like, there is some writers in this industry. He started with first article, second article. By the third article, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna say this. I hate your guts. I really do. Like, ain't no way you liking you have something positive to say about everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I got to tell you,
the people
I appreciate your authenticity.
Google the notes
Genuinely.
and then come and tell us about it. Like, the fuck, man? If you got to Google and come tell us about it, why are you here?
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw your in real time and when you did the blind sample showdown with Germ, and when you got that one, the ones, you were that was your show.
One of them, I was there.
Yeah. I went against you.
And I just remember the reaction, how bad you thought that was, and it's refreshing.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And I know it's refreshing for Germ too, just because like he sends so much out and he's got an amazing selection, but it's one of those things, like it was one of the first times someone told him that it wasn't good, that he didn't like something, and I was like, good, he's gonna appreciate that.
By the way, he loved that.
Well, he sent me samples. We supposed to jump on a live. I need to send me a message. We're supposed to jump on a live to review samples.
Oh, nice.
And because of that sample specifically, he's like, dude, I just want to see how you react to my blind samples. I said, some people are gonna be hurt by some of the shit I say, because honestly, last time we just, I just came back from judging the Ascot Award, and I've tried something, and I said, this remind me of a hot day.
Yeah.
Like a hot day, and you and your girlfriend say, we're gonna have a quickie, and you make the mistake to go down on her. This is not it. Not it.
Yeah.
Not
like tennis vagina. I know what you're talking about.
That's I'm sounding misogynist right now, but
no, it's fine.
You like, I love you dearly, but this is not it.
No.
Yeah. Everything. I'm like, this whole whiskey pH balance is off. It's like, it's
that was like my college girlfriend. You know what I mean?
Like, I just throw the whole bottle away. Don't even. I don't need it. Just throw it away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we need we need more.
I think what I've learned from this is I need to try more whiskey. I've tried a lot, and in trying what I've tried and how much I've learned from trying all these different things, which doesn't even scratch the surface of what you all have tried. It's just like, okay, I need to try more things because I need to understand more. I don't have it all yet. I need to try more things.
No, you don't. It's not even really about trying more things. It's really about staying curious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I haven't been proposed a whiskey yet that I don't know or never tried, and I said no. Right? The same way I taught my daughter as a kid to have a no thank you bite agreement. You need a no thank you bite rule, meaning that even if you heard crazy thing about this whiskey, still try it. Like you got to have that bite and say no thank you. I've tried it, but I don't like it. Right? That no thank you bite rule. You got to stay curious. Like, I looked in the room the last time, and I'm like, this is not even, all my whiskeys are in storage, buried, but I looked like what I have here in my recording place, and I'm like, oh, I still have whiskey from Thailand, from Taiwan, Korea, Japanese whiskey. Like, I have all these things. And I'm like, it's truly true that when I wake up, like, I go through some times where I won't touch bourbon for 2 weeks. Why? Because I can do bourbon any day. So what will I do? I would do like Indian whiskey only. Right. And these are even things I buy. Like right now, and I think it's no longer cool like it used to be. But I remember first 2 years, spent probably about my whole salary in whiskey. Bought about 500, 600 bottles, right? And then I realized I'm never going to drink this shit. So the 2 years that followed that, what did I do? Sample swaps.
Yeah.
I literally have 5 boxes, like those U-Haul boxes, just full of samples.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because everybody, and that's the one thing. When people say whiskey community, we are cool. Put a pin on that. We are cool when it comes to changing samples. Most of the time, we are crab in a barrel, just trying to jump on each other and do stupid shit. But when it comes to samples, if you go into any whiskey group today, and there's one whiskey you heard of and go, hey guys, this is Adrian. I heard about this whiskey. Not sure about it. I don't want to spend the money. If anybody have a sample, I will appreciate it. People gonna slide in your DM quicker than you send them a nude. They're gonna slide in just to propose you a sample because that was the spirit back in 2018, right before COVID. That was literally the spirit of whiskey. Like right now, like when literally Martin say he like certain type of whiskey, in my head, I'm like, I want to tell him, hey Martin, I have a sample left of that 24-year Glengoyne. You totally need to try that shit. Like, because sending sample, like on TikTok during COVID, they call it handshake. Because truly, that was the way to say hello to somebody. You send them a sample. So imagine having all the sample of the whiskey you can try. You literally go on a group, say, I want to try Japanese whiskey. No, where to start. Anybody have a sample? I used to have people send me the whole selection. Do you know how I learned about tequila? One of my followers is obsessed with tequila. So what does he do? Every single cast that come out, he'll call me and go, this guy pays subscription, but yet still will send me samples of tequila because he's like, that's the only thing you don't talk about. So I want you to actually get into it. Because he's like, I love listening to your review, but you don't review tequila. And when I said, I just want to explore it more, it's like, bet. Every year I get, literally, there's one right there, 8 samples. And he sent it to me the week of Cinco de Mayo every year.
That's awesome. I've been dabbling in tequila a tiny bit. I like tequila.
Oh, that is like a whole different, like, there's two things. There's like two spirits. There's like two spirits that I tell people you have to take your time to get to know them. One is agave spirit, and the second one is the French spirits. Cognac, Calvados, and Armagnac. I like those three. I like you need to dive into them to understand the nuances of what's happening there. Same thing for your Blanco, your Reposado, Añejo, Cristalino, Estaño. You have to. I don't care if you you deep set in W set and know any lingo. If you don't play with those, they're the hardest to actually understand, like how good or how bad and flaws in those two. So
they I just can't. I try with tequila, man, but it's just, I don't know. I think I might. Fun. It's fun, but it's just, it's just, I don't know. I ended up early. I'm sorry, I guess that was last year now. I definitely started kind of moving towards rum a little bit, or at least trying some more things that people had. Yeah, that's another one. I mean, it's insane. And I mean, I found some amazing stuff through that. I think my goal a couple years back was to, because I have bottles that are finished in rum or, sherry, or like you said, Calvados and stuff like that. I'm like, I want to try those things to see like where the notes that I'm getting at, it can separate from what the whiskey influence and then the barrel influence, like the sherry influence. I want to know what they taste like because Martin, I never really did.
Repeat that for the people in the back.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honestly, like I wish more people did it.
Correct. Because most people don't understand that obsession that I have. Like if you come to me and you say, so what was that? At Chateau de Chantreuse, I think is what do you call it? Bardstown Bourbon Company finished one of their whiskey in, right?
Oh yeah.
And then they also did Chateau La Baude.
Yeah.
Right? They did Chateau La Baude.
I just saw
those. They did Chantreuse, and they did. Do you know how many places I went to find a La Baude, the Chateau La Baude cognac?
Yeah.
The only reason why is because every time something is finished into something else, I want to try the original.
Yeah.
So I understand what, dude, Whiskey Live London last year, okay? I stand by. I meet the owner. Like we emailed usually, but of Bourbon Distillery, they the one who make the Whistler, right?
Mm.
And he has an eclipse. He call it the sun eclipse. 35 or 42-year Irish whiskey, age in this weird dry Amontillado sherry. But when they dumped it, they had probably about 7 bottles of Amontillado. So he's selling it almost $3,000, but he's selling the set.
Yeah.
So you have the Amontillado sherry itself, which is already a 20-some-year-old Amontillado, where you age a 45-year-old whiskey in as a set. When I tried the Amontillado and I had the whiskey, I'm like, Jesus be a taste bud, because I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
So
it makes
because
sense.
somewhere you're like, I tell people there's no such. I heard this in a podcast before. Somebody said there's no such thing as bad finished whiskey. There is such thing as bad choice of barrel finished whiskey. Because if you choose the wrong barrel, that clash with the profile of your whiskey.
Yep.
You made that choice. No one made it for you.
Yeah.
So 2 people can finish the same type of whiskey in the same style of barrel, and they will come out different. It could be a decision of one more day or one more week or one more month, and shit goes sideways immediately in those barrels. So
yeah, it's and I think that was it. It was I also it was also out of a little bit of boredom. I definitely hit walls with whiskey a lot of times, and I think that was just my way of trying to reset and do a little bit more discovery. But yeah, definitely I would encourage everybody to try to do that. I mean, obviously you're not going to always get your hands on the exact same finishing thing, but you can at least try ports, try tawny port just to see what you like about it. I actually found out through that I do like port.
Man, if you want to get, if you see me when I'm not feeling like drinking whiskey, but I don't, obviously I came from a French country, so wine is a thing.
Yeah,
dude, I love me some port, very cold on the rocks. Pour me some port, and we're not talking Taylor port here, people. We're talking real port, 25, 30-year-old port. When I tell you, there's something about a good port that will touch your soul. And there is something aphrodisiac style about a good port that will take you there.
Yeah. And it works so well with whiskey. I know people who don't, but I don't think I personally ever had one that I've hated. There's some that I'm like, it's okay. But most port finished or port matured whiskeys I find really, really interesting, fun. Always exciting.
Speaking of, since we both are nerds, do you know how port is made?
I don't. And that was the other side of like me getting into these things. It's just because of like all of that stuff. It's so much. And it's, when it comes to wine, I was like intimidated by like how much history and it's insane, but I love it.
I had to go and look it up because I'm like, why this shit make me feel so zen and in, right? So the word you want to remember here is aguardiente. Right? Okay. Aguardiente. And what does aguardiente mean? Agua. Water of life.
Water.
Yeah, water of life. Okay.
Water of life. Dude, I just had a bubble moment, right? Do you know in every country, right? In every country, from moonshine to spirit, the way they call anything that is clearly made and distilled have a connotation to water of life? Yep. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Every country.
Yep, they all refer to it. You can look back in like
eau de vie. Literally, eau de vie, to make cognac, literally means water of life.
Yep.
aquavite, same thing.
Aquavite?
Yeah, it's
Shout outs to Roy Duff.
Do you literally want me to blow your mind? So I go to Africa, right? And since now I'm in whiskey, I'm like, I haven't been since then. 2022, I go there, I go to the mountains, go hang out with some moonshiner, understand how they're distilling, then making them do experiment for me, like they distill twice. So I'm like, oh, what about you do it 3 times? Let's see how it's gonna taste like and all that, right? When I tell you, one of the oldest guy there took a sip of that like high, like literally that low vine, and tasted and went, man, this water is just very healing today. And I'm like, did you just call it water? And he's like, yeah. Since I've been a kid, they call this thing akbetashi, which I never put in my head. That is the water of a she, the water of life. And it never even clicked in my head.
No.
And I grew up in that country.
Yep.
So anywhere in the world where they actually have a distilled spirit, have a connotation to either water of life, the God's water, or the spirit water. Like it's always water of something.
Yeah. And I remember early on, my dad would refer to that because he'd always talk about aquavite and stuff like that. And like, I never knew what that word meant until I got into whiskey.
Correct.
And then I saw obviously Roy Duff, who's a YouTuber, a whiskey guy. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, why do I know that word? And then I asked my dad, he's like, I used to say that to you all the time whenever you asked me what I was drinking.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. You could have just told me back then, Dad. But yeah, it's yeah, I mean, I love that. I guess
it's crazy that, you know, I just had that, but aguardiente, same thing, right?
Aguardiente.
So what happened is when the grapes are mashed, right? Grapes are mashed, they make the sweet wine, right? That wine is fermented, right? Now, anybody that have done chemistry before, what do you do? What do you use to stop fermentation?
Well, what's it called? The drying of the what am I trying to say here? It's like when they do that, when they dry the grain, yeah.
To actually stop fermentation, you use high level alcohol, and it will stop fermentation. So that's how most people will transport certain things. They will fill that thing with alcohol, high intense alcohol, to stop the fermentation of it. And when they come back, they will put it through a heat cycle for the alcohol to evaporate, and they will let it to ferment again. So aguardiente, what they do is when they mash the grape, the sweet grape is fermenting. You know, the rest of the peats to cover the grape, that's what they take and mash it and ferment it and distill it to give you the aguardiente. And once your red wine is getting to that top of that sweet fermentation, which is about 72 to 48 hours, they add that aguardiente in and stop the fermentation. That's why your port have a higher level of alcohol than your regular wine, because they stop the fermentation of that wine by pouring in that aguardiente.
That's interesting.
So,
I mean, I would definitely want to explore more import.
I know it's one of those words where you're like, oh,
yeah,
now it makes sense. Right? Obviously, port because Portuguese are the one who actually used to make aguardiente, and they're the one. But funny thing is, I went to DC because there's no rule around aguardiente. I went to DC, and in one of the winery, the guy goes around DC, go to winery and take the rest of the mash of the grapes and collect it to make aguardiente. So you can actually buy aguardiente. Yeah.
Now I kind of want to go. I want to go around the world, obviously.
I'm telling you.
And see how many different variations of that there actually are. I think that actually
You know what? I'm going. Unfortunately, my dad passed away a few weeks back.
Well,
I'm going.
sorry to hear that.
First week of June. I'm going back home.
Okay.
Right. I'm gonna bring African moonshine back, and I'll send you a sample so you can see what African moonshine is like. Because they don't use any grain.
Oh yeah.
They use coconut sap, palm tree sap. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
wild.
very interesting. Wow.
That's cool.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring two things because I'm gonna make a style of pour because what they do is the sap is beer, right? That's the beer. Mm-hmm. So coconut sap naturally will give you beer, and people drink that beer. Okay. So after 3 days, it ferment already. It's so sweet that in 48 hours around natural yeast, it ferment immediately. But when you get to that third day, where the fermentation is max, then they distill it to give you moonshine.
Wow.
And everybody that I ever tried it went, what the hell is this? And I said, African moonshine.
Yeah.
I bet I like it.
Like I said, I need to tick off after moonshine off my I need to drink list. So I definitely
I have one here from Africa, from East Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I went and did a tasting for a bunch of special ops in Vegas. And they have a small distillery in East Africa that they want to start making whiskey out of. So they use sorghum.
Sorghum, okay, yeah.
To actually make it. So I have moonshine made out of sorghum here too.
We were just talking about the just like interesting grains that you could use. And there's obviously been a lot that have been used, things like amaranth and things like that. But like I want to see like just a wild mash bill of different typically unused grains. Obviously they've been they've always done it, but like 6 grain, 4 grain, and with the addition like oats, adding that in. I want to try some other things just to see what comes out of it. But it's just such a big world, and like whenever I hear that there's obviously somebody doing these things, I'm like, now I got to find them. I gotta find them. I gotta try them.
You gotta open your world. We gonna bring Adrienne with us. She gonna try things that will open up the world.
We're gonna get her there. I just realized like we're on an hour and a half now.
I know we really have been hamming it up around here.
I could keep it going. I love getting nerdy like this.
I know this has been great.
But Jack, I'm gonna relinquish the floor to you. Do you have anything you want to promote, talk about, anything cool coming up?
Yes, I have something cool. If you live in the DC area, the DMV area, this year's Afrofusion is happening.
Oh, okay.
If you look up Afrofusion DC, if you have friends in DC, we're going to take African food and whiskey cocktails, and we're going to bring you to a whole new level, a culinary experience. I've been doing this for 7 years, and it's always a cool menu. What we do is those cocktails are nothing like you've seen before. We use a lot of African spices to bring you a difference in cocktail. We're sponsored by Heaven Hill, so usually you get a chance to try Heaven Hill product.
Nice.
So beside that, I have a couple weeks where I'm gonna be here and be working. But my daughter officially today, my daughter turned 18 on Thursday. She's gonna graduate.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, she's gonna graduate.
It's wild, man.
And after that, I'm leaving. So, make sure to follow me on Instagram. That's where I'll be posting. I'll be posting all the shenanigans I'll be doing. My goal is to actually take whiskeys from around the world and take it to the African folks, so people can actually really explore whiskey. I don't know, you guys have a segment on whiskey news, but there's a lot of new whiskey that are coming out. So
that is a lot.
Keep your eyes out. I literally in front of me right now, if I show you, I probably have 7 new whiskeys that were sent to me that are new whiskey coming out on the market. Sazerac is trying to revive Paul John, so they're pushing for people to actually try Indian whiskey. Michter's just released the Michter's 10-year 2025. Michter's that is on the market. If you follow Heaven Hill, there's Grain to Glass bourbon second batch. That is actually the second batch is out now, so it's a little bit older than the first batch that was out. The new Old Fitzgerald is out, not the 7-year, but the Old Fitzgerald bottle and bond is 9 years old this year. I don't know if it tickles my fancy, but it's that. And I think I'll finish with what impressed me this month has been the Bullet bourbon, the bottle and bond Bullet bourbon. Actually have been that's the whiskey that impressed me this month. For someone who hate Bullet, they really bought my they bought my faith. They brought my faith back into the fold.
That's nice. I mean, that's good when that happens. I've definitely had some where you you weren't a fan, and all of a sudden you try it and you're like,
great,
okay.
I'm like, I don't know what happened, but somebody got their act right at Bullet. And as always, I tell everybody, if there's one company you want to keep your eyes on MGP. Between Penelope, Ramus, and Blood Oath, and now I think with Penelope joining MGP, they're stepping up their game. They totally are stepping up their game. New Penelope, the new Remus Master Collection is fantastic. The new 7-year Yellowstone.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know about this, but also MGP probably has the best whiskey for the best price.
It's true.
They're most affordable.
I haven't really encountered an MGP that I didn't like. I can be pretty honest about that, I think.
There's a few.
Is there? Okay. Yeah, I've been pretty lucky then, I guess.
Yeah, there's a few that like to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. There's a few that love to reinvent the wheel. To those people, I say, you are not, you do not pass go. Do not collect 200.
Your wheel is square.
Straight to jail. Straight to jail.
Well, Jack, guys, like you said, everybody, check out the YouTube, check out the social medias for Jack here at Hood Sommelier. It was a pleasure, man. This is the first time I've been able to talk to you, and hope we have more conversations because I feel like we could get very nerdy, my friend.
Dude, you and I can go crazy for a while.
Yeah,
we need to have an episode just for single malt. See how far we go deep in that hole.
Yes, absolutely.
I won't talk on that one either.
Maybe we'll convert her into a single malt lover now.
Hey, I've been trying, man. Honestly,
I'm getting there. I've got a Scotch and I've got a couple those Cedar Ridge single malts. I got 3 of them. No.
We are not talking. See, that's what I'm saying, Adrian. When we talking single malt, we are not talking about anything in America.
Okay. I got one Scotch that I like. I got one.
She does like Glengoyne.
I like Glengoyne.
She liked Glengoyne. That means we. Yeah. I think she will love. Next? She will love McNean.
I think so. Yeah.
McNean is something she will love.
Yep.
Lukla is something she'll probably also enjoy. Old Putney, maybe the 18.
Oh, I have the 18 for sure. I missed the 17. That bottle was I hated when I finished that bottle. I hated that day so much. Because you'll never find it as a discontinued product. So
it's discontinued. I know somebody who bought a case of it when they knew, but they also work for the company, so they knew.
Okay, that makes sense. I did that with the Aaron 14. I bought like 9 of them when they discontinued the old purple label Aaron 14. They discontinued that, like I think it was 2019, maybe 2018, 2019, and I bought like 9 or 10 of them because they were on the shelves for 50, 60 something bucks. And I'm like, okay, I'm grabbing every single one of those if it's going away. I think it's coming back at some point, but
I think
for
that
a while,
orange, it wasn't that one. What is it? What is the one with the dog on it? Marquia something.
Makir Bay.
Yeah.
What's it called?
The orange that had the dog on it.
Kilhoman.
I bought 4 of them because when they said they were discontinued, I'm like, I need that.
Yeah,
but
I just saw that they
Adrian, I wanted to say that your natural transaction is not in single malt shouldn't be Scotch per se. Your natural transaction or transition should be Irish whiskey first, Irish single malt, and from Irish single malt you can move on to Scotch.
Yeah,
because those are still approachable, still bearable, and obviously flavorful. If you find good Irish single malt, 15, 16, 20-year Irish single malt, you are gonna love that, because I feel like it's a natural progression from a bourbon drinker to get into Irish and then Scotch, because Scotch, as solid as it is, there's a wild world there too. But we love it because obviously it's a wild world. But Irish whiskey will not disappoint.
Yeah.
It will not disappoint. When I do my 30 days of Irish whiskey, I hear it all the time. Most people are like, oh, I drink bourbon, I don't drink Irish. But this one, I've tried it. I really like it. Especially with warm weathers coming up. Irish whiskey is probably your best friend when you want
really is good
have
stuff.
those.
Yeah, I'll always buy a bottle of Yellow Spot at the beginning of the summer, just because that's like the one that I enjoy.
Dude, there's 2 bottles I will always have on my shelf. Green Spot, but the one finish in the one that released
the Chateau,
the Chateau, and obviously Redbreast 18. Like no one can tell me in this life that Redbreast 18 is not the shit.
It's amazing. I like a lot of their stuff in general. There's some stuff that they have that I'm not a big fan of, but like that's an amazing
Redbreast 18. Irishman. Irishman, that's another one. The Irishman. When I did my 30 days of Irish this year, that was one brand that, because another thing I fell in love with is single pot. I felt like if you're a bourbon drinker, single pot have enough zing to it that it gives you that kick that you're looking for, that spice that you're looking for. So Writer's Tears, what do you call that? Who else is single pot? Writer's Tears, something else. I have a whole list, but I will tell you right now, I'm quite impressed by those single pot Irish whiskey.
No, I think that's definitely something that we'll have. We'll try that, Adrian. One of these times, I'll bring some Irish whiskey to the next meetup, and we'll
Irish. Get her slowly in. I think.
Yep.
Adrian, she's curious, so it will be something for her to actually do. Bring some single malt, single pot, single grain. I think JJ Corey does a really good job on a single grain. I mean, that woman knows how to blend. So that her 21-year, the Flint stock, which is that gun, that shit is bananas.
Yeah. Actually, Adrian, you've had a single grain, because I brought it to Friendsgiving last year, and you had a single grain from Loch Lomond that was finished in rum. It was a Barbados rum finish. Really good from SMWS. It was Ross Dew, which is
it was SMWS. That's why I'm like, I don't remember this, but that's why. That's why.
I like that one. It's really weird, but I enjoy it. I like single grain. It can be boring, but like there is also some really interesting ones out there, especially when done by indie bottlers and the like. So, well, Jack, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us this evening. We will have to do it again.
You. Like a fat kid in dodgeball, we out.
Absolutely, we out. Adrian, why don't you, Adrian, take us on out, Adrian.
Yes, everybody, thank you, and remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world. See y'all later. Cheers,
everybody. What I want to do right now is talk about one of our sponsors. It is 10th Mountain Whiskey out of Vail, Colorado. We all love Colorado. Anyways, you can find them on all social media platforms as well as 10thwhiskey.com. And guess what? You can use BWF15 for a discount code. The 15 means you get 15% off. That's why we did it, BW15. That makes sense. We'd love for you to go check out their products and what they have there. And you can find them in 42 different states across online. I think that's it. Yeah, 42 different states through online distribution, as well as 30 states across regular retail distribution. Guys, what that means is online means you buy it on the computer. Retail means you buy it in store. So they're everywhere. So go and check them out. Again, if you guys have any questions, go to 10thwhiskey.com. They'll answer any questions you may have. And I want to thank 10th Mountain Whiskey for being our sponsors on BWF Bourbon with Friends podcast.
That's it for this episode of Bourbon with Friends. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a review to make it easier for others to find the show. You can also check us out on Instagram at Bwfpodcast. Thanks for listening.